He thought cash would make him invisible. That is the logic that drives most amateur criminals when they realize they need to acquire equipment without leaving a paper trail. Do not use a credit card. Do not use a debit card. Do not create a transaction that links your name to a product that will later appear in a criminal investigation. Pay cash, walk out, disappear. It is a reasonable assumption. It is the assumption that most people who have never worked in retail forensics or law enforcement make when they think about how to avoid being traced through a purchase. Pay cash, leave nothing. What it misses is everything that happens before you reach the register. The parking lot camera that logged your vehicle's license plate when you pulled in. The entrance camera that captured your face and your clothing as you walked through the automatic doors. The aisle cameras that documented which sections of the store you moved through. The overhead cameras that recorded you pulling the specific product from the shelf and placing it in your cart. The register-level camera that captured your hands, your profile, your physical characteristics from a fixed angle during the entire transaction. The parking lot exit camera that logged your vehicle again as you left with the product in your possession. He paid cash at Walmart, and he forgot about every camera that was watching before he ever reached the register. This is the story of why that decision, the decision to shop at Walmart rather than disperse purchases across multiple stores, rather than use anonymous channels, rather than acquire equipment through any of the dozens of methods available to someone who is genuinely trying to avoid leaving a trace, is the thread investigators are pulling. And why the parking lot, not the register, may be where this case finally breaks open. This is the verdict room. We examine the evidence, we follow the facts, and at the end of every investigation, we deliver the verdict. If you are new here, subscribe right now and hit that notification bell. Every week we bring you the forensic analysis, the investigative depth, and the documented evidence that changes the way you understand the cases that matter most. If you are already part of this community, hit that like button right now. It helps more people find investigations like this one. Now let us talk about what the cameras saw. Before we get into the forensic detail of the retail evidence trail, we need to establish who this investigation is about, because no amount of forensic analysis should be allowed to reduce a human being to a case study. Nancy Long Guthrie built her life in Tucson, Arizona over more than 5 decades. She was someone who contributed to her community in the quiet, consistent ways that matter most, helping keep the state's poison information hotline alive when budget cuts threatened to shut it down, advising the University of Arizona's Journalism Council, attending St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church every Sunday via live stream from her living room. A fixture, a presence, someone whose friends noticed she was missing before the police did, because she was expected and she was loved. She raised 3 children alone after her husband died when they were young. She watched them grow into adults. She became a grandmother. She kept a home in the Catalina foothills that had been hers for decades. And on the evening of January 31st, 2026, she had dinner and played board games with her daughter and son-in-law, one of dozens of identical Saturday evenings that this family had shared across the years, and she went home. The garage door closed at 9:50 p.m. according to the precise digital timestamp that Sheriff Chris Nanos presented at his February 5th press conference. Less than 4 hours later, someone wearing a mask and gloves and carrying a backpack from Walmart walked to her door in the pre-dawn darkness, and Nancy Guthrie disappeared. On February 16, 2026, 16 days after Nancy disappeared, the Pima County Sheriff's Department confirmed 2 things that together changed the trajectory of this investigation permanently. First, the Guthrie family has been cleared completely as suspects. Sheriff Nanos was direct and unusually forceful in his public statement. Every member of the Guthrie family, including all siblings and their spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects. Not one single person in the family is a suspect. His words, documented verbatim by multiple outlets, included the phrase, "knock it off," directed at media speculation about family involvement, language that professional law enforcement executives almost never use in public statements, and that reflects the confidence of evidentiary conclusions reached with certainty before that clearance was announced. The family had been ruled out in the first few days, according to what Nanos told local media. That timeline matters. Within days of February 1st, investigators had examined whatever the clearance required and made their determination. The subsequent weeks of investigation have been focused entirely outside the family circle, toward an external suspect profile built from physical and forensic evidence. Second, Investigators have spent several days reviewing surveillance footage at local Walmart stores, tracing the equipment that masked figure was wearing when he approached Nancy's door. Those two confirmations, side by side, describe exactly where this investigation stands. The family is cleared, the suspect is external, and every piece of equipment documented on that masked figure in 44 seconds of recovered surveillance footage traces back to one retail environment. Let us be precise about what the Walmart evidence consists of, because the comprehensiveness of the connection, the complete reliance on one retail ecosystem for every visible piece of operational equipment, is what makes it analytically extraordinary. The backpack is where forensic certainty begins. The FBI confirmed officially in their February 12th announcement, after analysis by the Video Forensic Analysis Unit using an osteometric board reconstruction conducted at the actual scene, that the suspect was carrying a black 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack. Ozark Trail is Walmart's private label outdoor brand. This product is sold exclusively through Walmart. It cannot be purchased at any other major retailer. It does not exist in outdoor specialty stores. It is not available at sporting goods chains. It is not sold through standard online marketplaces except through Walmart's own digital presence. One retailer, one transaction system, one purchase database. The forensic identification was not a casual visual match. The Video Forensic Analysis Unit used an osteometric board, a precision measurement instrument, at the actual scene to establish the physical dimensions visible in the footage with forensic accuracy. They compared visual characteristics against product databases. They confirmed the specific model, size, and color. The Ozark Trail Hiker Pack, 25 liters, black. That product has a specific SKU in Walmart's inventory system. Every sale of that specific SKU at every Walmart in Arizona and surrounding states creates a record: date, time, store location, register lane, items purchased, payment method. If paid by card, the transaction links to the cardholder's identity. If paid by cash, and this is the critical point, the transaction still creates a record with timestamp and location data, and the person still appears on multiple camera angles throughout their time in the store. The mask adds a second layer. Sheriff Nanos told CBS News on February 16th that investigators believe the mask worn by the suspect in the doorbell camera footage was purchased at Walmart. That belief is specific enough that investigators spent several days reviewing in-store surveillance footage to try to confirm it. That investment of resources, days of personnel reviewing footage specifically for this item, does not happen based on a guess. It happens because investigators have identified visual characteristics in the footage that are consistent with a specific Walmart product, and they are working to confirm that product match through the surveillance review. The clothing adds a third layer. The dark jacket and light pants visible in the surveillance footage are believed to have been purchased at Walmart, according to the same CBS News reporting of the sheriff's statement. He acknowledged these items are not exclusively sold there, but the specificity of the ongoing Walmart footage review suggests investigators have a working theory about where the suspect acquired this clothing, grounded in evidence beyond simple availability. The holster adds a fourth layer. A gun holster was visible in the doorbell camera footage, strapped to the suspect's body, documenting a deliberate decision to bring a firearm to this operation. Investigators are closely examining this item, described in News Nation's reporting as a $10 holster available at Walmart, not a tactical holster from a firearms specialty retailer, not a law enforcement grade duty holster, a $10 product from mainstream retail. 4 items, 1 retail ecosystem, every visible piece of operational equipment traceable to the same store. Now let us talk about why paying cash did not make him invisible, and why the parking lot may be the most important part of the entire retail forensic picture. Most people who think about avoiding retail transaction trails focus on the payment method. If you pay cash, there is no credit card record, no statement showing the purchase, no digital link between your identity and the product. That logic is correct as far as it goes. A cash transaction does not create a financial record that connects a name to a purchase. What it does not eliminate is every other record that exists in a modern Walmart. The parking lot cameras are the element that most people never consider. Every major Walmart location maintains continuous surveillance of its parking areas. These cameras are not there for aesthetic purposes. They exist because parking lots are high-incident areas: vehicle theft, car break-ins, accidents, assaults. The footage is retained for investigation purposes. And what those cameras record is not just what happens to vehicles parked in the lot. They record the license plate of every vehicle that enters and exits. In some cases, the systems are sophisticated enough to log entry and exit times automatically, creating a database of vehicle visits that can be searched by plate number, by date, by time window. A person who pays cash inside the store has eliminated the financial transaction record. But if they drove to the store, if their vehicle appears in the parking lot footage during the same time window as the cash transaction, investigators have a vehicle, and a vehicle has a registration, and a registration has a name. This is the error in the cache logic. The cache eliminates one trail, the parking lot camera creates another, and unlike the financial record, which never existed for a cash transaction, the parking lot footage is passive surveillance that was created without the person's knowledge or participation. You cannot choose not to be recorded in a parking lot. The camera captures what it captures regardless of what payment method you use inside. The specific product exclusivity of the Ozark Trail backpack makes the parking lot camera angle even more powerful in this case. Investigators are not searching for anyone who bought any backpack at any Walmart. They are searching for someone who bought a specific 25-liter black Ozark Trail hiker pack. That product has a specific SKU. Every transaction involving that specific SKU at every Walmart in the relevant geographic area and time window creates a record. Investigators can pull every transaction for that specific product during the weeks and months before February 1st at Tucson area Walmarts, and then go to the parking lot footage from each of those transactions to identify the vehicles present during each time window. If the purchase was made in cash, the financial transaction still has a timestamp and a store location. That timestamp narrows the parking lot footage review to a specific window at a specific location. Within that window, every vehicle that was present is visible on the parking lot cameras. Every license plate in that footage can be run. Every registration can be checked. The person who paid cash to avoid creating a financial record still drove to the store, still parked in the lot, still had their vehicle captured on cameras that operate continuously, regardless of payment methods. He forgot about the parking lot cameras, and that may be the mistake that connects a vehicle to a purchase to a name. Let us go deeper into exactly how Walmart's surveillance and transaction infrastructure works, because most people significantly underestimate the documentation capability of a major retail environment. And understanding the full scope of what exists in those systems is what makes the cash payment logic so analytically flawed. Point-of-sale systems at every Walmart record, every transaction with complete detail. Date, time, store location, register lane number, complete itemized list of products purchased with SKU codes, payment method, and transaction total. These records are maintained in corporate databases accessible to investigators with appropriate legal process. They do not expire after 30 days or 60 days. Transaction history is systematically maintained, and investigators working cases involving retail forensics have demonstrated repeatedly that records from months or years prior are accessible when legal process is applied. Loyalty program data extends the documentation significantly further. The Walmart app, Walmart Plus membership, and digital receipt services all connect purchase history to specific customer accounts that include names, addresses, email contacts, phone numbers, and complete transaction histories across multiple visits to multiple store locations. Anyone who has ever used the Walmart app to check prices, locate items in store aisles, access digital receipts, or apply for a Walmart credit card has created a profile that links their identity to their shopping patterns. The person who uses the Walmart app to find the backpack aisle and then pays cash at the register has eliminated the financial transaction record while creating a digital footprint in the app usage data. The self-checkout systems, which many people instinctively prefer for cash transactions because they feel more private than interacting with a human cashier, are actually among the most thoroughly documented points in the store. Self-checkout cameras capture the transaction from multiple angles simultaneously, including detailed footage of hands, clothing patterns, and physical characteristics during the entire checkout process. The items are individually scanned and logged, the payment is recorded, and all of it is captured on dedicated camera systems positioned specifically to document self-checkout transactions for loss prevention purposes. The entrance and exit camera systems are designed to capture faces and physical characteristics. At the entrance, The camera placement is optimized to capture individuals walking through the automatic doors, faces forward, full body visible, clothing documented from head to footwear. At the exit, the same geometry applies in reverse. Together, entrance and exit footage creates a documentary record of every person who entered the store during a specific time window, cross-referenceable against the transaction timestamp for any specific purchase. The combination of all these systems means that a cash transaction at Walmart does not create invisibility. It creates a different kind of documentation. Instead of a financial record linking a name to a product, it creates a visual record linking a face and a vehicle, and a physical profile to a specific store visit at a specific time. A record that can be connected to a specific product through the transaction log and to a specific individual through the parking lot vehicle registration. Now let us examine what the behavioral picture of the equipment choices tells investigators about who this person is. Because the $10 holster is as analytically significant as the exclusive backpack. Military veterans who have used actual tactical equipment in training or deployment would not buy a $10 consumer holster for an operation where equipment reliability matters. Law enforcement professionals, current or former, who understand the difference between duty holsters and consumer carry options would not select the cheapest available product when equipment function could be operationally critical. Professional criminal operators who invest in quality because their operations depend on reliable equipment would not use mainstream retail consumer products as their operational kit. The $10 holster says civilian, practical, cost-conscious, not professionally trained, not operationally experienced, not someone who has done this before at a level that would teach them the difference quality makes. And that behavioral profile is consistent with every other equipment choice visible in the footage. The Ozark Trail Backpack, affordable, practical, accessible, not chosen for tactical performance. The Ski Mask, a standard consumer product, not a purpose-built balaclava from a tactical supplier. The clothing, dark and light, chosen presumably for concealment purposes, not for operational performance. None of the choices suggest someone with professional experience in selecting equipment for covert operations. All of the choices suggest someone who equipped themselves the same way they shop for everything else, at Walmart, practically, affordably, without understanding that the most comprehensively documented retail environment in the country was recording every moment of it. The DNA evidence does not run in parallel with the retail forensic evidence. It converges on the same person from a different direction. On February 15th, the FBI confirmed that a glove recovered approximately 2 miles from Nancy's home visually appeared to match the gloves worn by the suspect in the surveillance footage. DNA extracted from the interior of that glove produced a profile of an unknown male. The profile was being submitted to CODIS, the FBI's combined DNA index system, pending quality control confirmation. CNN's chief law enforcement analyst identified the specific analytical question that investigators are working to answer. Does the DNA from the glove's interior match the DNA collected from inside Nancy's home? The Pima County Sheriff's Department confirmed separately that DNA other than Nancy's and those in close regular contact with her was found at the property. If those two profiles match, investigators have established that the same person who wore the glove along the departure route was also physically present inside the residence. 2 independent sample locations, one from the crime scene property and one from 2 miles away, producing the same biological profile. That creates what forensic analysts call a corroborating connection. It proves the glove was not coincidentally dropped by an unrelated person. It connects the suspect to both the crime scene and the physical evidence found along what investigators believe was his exit path. The combination of Walmart purchase records and DNA identification creates a 2-track verification system that converges toward the same person from different evidentiary directions. If CODIS returns a match through prior criminal history, investigators can immediately check whether that identified person has transaction history at local Walmart stores for the specific items documented in the footage during the relevant time window. If Walmart Forensics identifies a specific purchaser through transaction records or surveillance footage review, investigators can compare that person's DNA against the unknown male profile from the glove. Either track arriving at a specific individual allows the other track to confirm it through independent evidence. Dual-track forensic verification converging on the same person from different analytical pathways is the evidentiary standard that criminal prosecutions are built to withstand. There is a specific investigative methodology that applies when retail forensics is combined with DNA identification in a case like this, and understanding that methodology explains why the two evidence streams are not just parallel, but actively reinforcing. When CODIS returns a match for the DNA profile from the glove, investigators receive not just a name but access to everything in the law enforcement record for that individual. Prior arrest records, prior booking locations, geographic history documented through court filings, prior addresses, prior vehicle registrations, prior employment. Every documented contact between that individual and law enforcement in the national system. That information provides immediate parameters for the Walmart records search. If CODIS returns an individual with a prior address or arrest record in the Tucson area, investigators know which specific Walmart locations to prioritize. If the individual's prior records show activity in specific geographic corridors, investigators can focus the parking lot footage review on stores in those corridors. If prior records include vehicle registrations, investigators can search parking lot footage specifically for those vehicles at the relevant Walmart locations during the relevant time window. Conversely, if the Walmart forensics track produces a vehicle identification through parking lot footage, a license plate, a vehicle make and model, a registration, that vehicle identification immediately generates a name, an address, a potential DNA comparison candidate, and a verification pathway against the glove profile and the property DNA. Each track reaching a specific individual activates the other track as a verification mechanism. The DNA profile either matches the Walmart shopper or it does not. The Walmart shopper either matches the DNA profile or they do not. The convergence of both tracks on the same individual is the evidentiary standard that a federal prosecution requires. Not single source identification that can be challenged in court, but multiple independent evidence streams pointing at the same conclusion from different analytical directions. This dual-track architecture is what gives investigators the confidence to be patient with this evidence. They are not rushing to a single source identification that might be challenged. They are building the convergence point where multiple independent evidence streams meet at one person, and at that convergence point, the case becomes effectively unassailable. The scale of public engagement with this investigation adds another dimension to the retail forensic picture. Between 40,000 and 50,000 tips had been received by February 16th, according to what Sheriff Nanos told local media. That number was climbing. The footage release produced 4,000 calls within the first 24 hours alone. That volume of public response is not random. It reflects what happens when investigators provide specific, recognizable details rather than general descriptions. A specific backpack brand and model. A specific height range determined through forensic reconstruction. Specific equipment items visible in footage. That specificity creates recognition opportunities that general awareness cannot generate. Millions of people saw the footage. Some subset of those millions have seen that specific backpack before, not in a store, but in the possession of a specific person, in a specific context, in a way that the footage suddenly made significant. The Walmart clothing information released on February 16th creates another wave of specific recognition potential. Someone who saw a person buying a ski mask and a black backpack and a gun holster together at a local Walmart in the weeks before February 1st now has context that makes that memory investigatively relevant. The combination of items bought together or in close succession is exactly the kind of detail that stands out at the time of observation and becomes actionable information when connected to the footage. Investigators are cross-referencing incoming tips against what the retail records are showing. A tip identifying a specific person can be immediately checked against Walmart's transaction database for the relevant items during the relevant time window. A purchase record identifying a specific transaction can be checked against tip submissions mentioning a person connected to that transaction. The convergence of public tip information and forensic retail evidence creates verification pathways that neither stream generates alone. Here is the picture that 16 days of documented evidence has assembled. Investigators know the suspect is male, forensically confirmed through the DNA profile from the glove. They know his approximate height, determined through forensic reconstruction at the actual scene using specialized measurement instruments. They know his approximate build. They know his footwear type. They know he carried a firearm. They know the specific backpack he was carrying, confirmed to the SKU level. They know the general retail source of his equipment for multiple items. They know he wore gloves that appear to match a glove found 2 miles away. They know that glove's interior carries a specific unknown male DNA profile being processed through a database of more than 26 million profiles. They know that DNA distinct from Nancy and her close contacts was found inside the property. They know the timing of the operation to the minute. Camera disabled at 1:47, motion detected at 2:12, pacemaker disconnected at 2:28. The family is cleared. External individuals previously scrutinized have been deprioritized. The focus is on a specific profile connected to physical and forensic evidence. And that profile includes a Walmart shopping trip that the suspect likely believed was invisible because he paid cash. There is one more element of the retail forensic picture that deserves specific attention, and it connects directly to the title of this investigation. He paid cash. He thought the cash made him invisible. But think about what that decision itself tells investigators about who they are looking for. A person who pays cash for operational equipment in a criminal context has thought about transaction trails. They know enough to understand that credit card records can be traced. They have enough operational awareness to eliminate the most obvious financial documentation. That is a specific level of criminal sophistication. Not zero, not trivial. But it is also a specific ceiling of sophistication, because someone with a higher level of operational awareness would not have shopped at Walmart at all. The cash decision says, this person knows about financial transaction trails. The Walmart decision says, this person does not know about retail surveillance infrastructure. That combination is precise. It narrows the profile in both directions simultaneously. Not a complete novice who would not think to use cash. Not a professional operator who would know to avoid the most comprehensively surveilled retail environment in the country. Someone in between, with enough awareness to eliminate the financial record, and not enough awareness to understand that eliminating the financial record was the least of their problems at a Walmart. Former FBI agents who have commented on behavioral analysis in cases like this use a specific framework for this kind of inconsistency. Sophisticated in some areas of planning, unsophisticated in others. The pattern is consistent with someone who has done significant research on certain aspects of avoiding detection, perhaps through online research into criminal investigation methods, without having the operational experience that would reveal the gaps in that research. Someone who knows what they read about transaction trails, but does not know what investigators who have spent careers working retail forensics cases know about everything that exists before and after the register. The cash payment is not just evidence of where the purchase was made. It is evidence of what the suspect believed about how he would be traced, and what he did not understand about the limits of that belief. Investigators know both of those things, and the gap between what he believed would protect him and what actually protects someone in a Walmart, the parking lot, the entrance cameras, the aisle surveillance, the exit footage, is exactly the gap they are exploiting in the records review that has consumed several days of dedicated investigative time. He thought the mask made him invisible at the door. He thought the gloves made him invisible at the scene. He thought the cash made him invisible at the register. He did not think about the camera that logged his license plate when he pulled into the parking lot. He did not think about the entrance camera that captured his face and clothing as he walked through the automatic doors. He did not think about the aisle cameras that documented his path through the store to the specific shelves where the backpack and the mask and the holster were displayed. He did not think about the overhead cameras that recorded his hands pulling each item from the shelf. He did not think about the register-level camera that captured his physical profile from a fixed angle during the entire transaction, including the moment he paid cash and received his items. He did not think about the parking lot exit camera that logged his vehicle again as he left with the equipment he would use weeks or months later to take Nancy Guthrie from her home. Walmart was watching the entire time. The cameras were recording. The transaction timestamp was being logged. The parking lot footage was being stored. The system was documenting everything that happened before he ever reached the register, after he left the register, and in every aisle between the two. He bought everything at Walmart, and Walmart remembers. The DNA from the glove is in a national database. The purchase records for the Ozark Trail backpack, the ski mask, the holster, and the clothing are in Walmart's systems. The tips are being cross-referenced. The parking lot footage is being reviewed. The investigative clock is running. All analysis in this investigation is based on official law enforcement statements, confirmed reporting from CBS News, ABC News, NBC News, CNN, Fox News Digital, News Nation, and the Pima County Sheriff's Department. No individual has been charged in connection with this case. The investigation is active and ongoing. All persons are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. If you have any information related to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, contact the FBI immediately. The tip line is 1-800-CALL-FBI. Anonymous tips can be submitted at tips.fbi.gov. The Pima County Sheriff's tip line is 520-351-4900. The reward for information leading to Nancy's safe return or the arrest of those responsible exceeds $100,000 from federal authorities, with the family reward bringing the combined total significantly higher. If you saw someone buying a ski mask, a black backpack, and a gun holster together at a Tucson area Walmart in the weeks before February 1st, 2026, if something about that purchase stuck in your memory and the footage made it suddenly significant, call. That observation, however small it seemed at the time, could be the piece that connects the parking lot to the transaction to the name. Nancy Long Guthrie has been missing since the early morning hours of February 1st, 2026. She has a pacemaker and requires daily medication. She has children and grandchildren who are waiting. Her congregation at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church has prayed for her every Sunday since she disappeared. She was dropped off at her garage door after a card game with her family, and she never came home on her own the next morning. Someone who prepared carefully went shopping first. He thought about the mask and the gloves and the darkness. He did not think about the parking lot. That shopping trip is still in the system. The timestamp is still in the database. The vehicle is still in the footage, and investigators are finding it. If this investigation moved you, if this kind of deep, forensically rigorous analysis is what you come here for, subscribe to the Verdict Room right now and hit that notification bell. Every week we examine the evidence, follow the facts, and deliver the verdict. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Which piece of the Walmart evidence trail do you think investigators can trace most directly to a specific person? The exclusive backpack, the parking lot vehicle footage, or the combination of items bought together? This is a community built on serious analysis. Let us hear your perspective. This is the Verdict Room. He paid cash. He forgot about the parking lot cameras. The evidence has spoken. The $10 holster tells investigators something specific about where the suspect's operational planning ceiling was. Someone who plans carefully enough to case a neighborhood for 3 weeks, to disable a utility box to blind the neighborhood's surveillance network, to time an approach to the pre-dawn hours when streets are empty. That level of planning is not consistent with someone who does not understand what a quality holster is. That is a contradiction in the profile. The resolution of that contradiction is one of two things. Either the equipment choices were deliberately calibrated to appear unsophisticated, to make investigators profile the operation as amateurish when it was not, or the planning sophistication is limited to specific domains the suspect researched, while other domains reflect genuine naivety about what professionals know. Former law enforcement behavioral analysts who have commented on this case have noted that the combination of sophisticated operational elements and unsophisticated equipment is actually a documented pattern in cases where the perpetrator has conducted extensive online research into criminal methodology without having direct criminal experience. You can learn about camera angles and timing and entry methods through research. You learn about equipment quality through experience. The research-acquired sophistication and the experience gap produce exactly the profile visible in the 44 seconds of doorbell camera footage. Someone who knows where to stand relative to the camera, what time of night to approach, how to disable the device, and who equips themselves from the most accessible consumer source without understanding why that source is forensically problematic. That profile has operational implications for the Walmart evidence trail. Someone who researched their operational methodology extensively is likely someone who used the internet for that research. Internet research leaves its own kind of trail: search history, device records, IP addresses. And someone who researched criminal methodology extensively enough to acquire the specific knowledge visible in the operational planning of this abduction may have conducted that research on devices connected to identifiable accounts. The Walmart decision, the specific choice of where to shop, may ultimately be less important than what it tells investigators about who they are looking for. The profile it creates, combined with the forensic evidence from the scene and the DNA from the glove, is converging toward a specific kind of person, not a random opportunist, not a professional criminal. Someone who planned extensively, who researched carefully in the domains they understood, and who had significant blind spots in the domains they did not, including the domain of retail surveillance infrastructure. The parking lot camera is the physical embodiment of one of those blind spots, and it is sitting in a Walmart's video archive right now, waiting to be found. One more thing deserves direct attention before the closing of this investigation, and it is the element that most people following this case have not yet connected to the Walmart evidence trail: the signal sniffer. Mounted on the Pima County Sheriff's helicopter, the signal sniffer has been conducting systematic low-altitude grid searches over the Tucson area since the early days of this investigation. It is searching for the Bluetooth signal emitted by Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker, a low-power signal with a range of approximately 15 to 30 feet that would be detectable if the search equipment passed within range of where Nancy is being held. The connection between the signal sniffer operation and the Walmart evidence trail is this: the pacemaker accelerometer data, the movement patterns logged by Nancy's pacemaker during the 41-minute window between the camera being disabled and the sync stopping, provides a geographic constraint on the search. Based on the movement data, investigators have estimated that the vehicle carrying Nancy had been traveling for approximately 15 to 20 minutes at the time the sync stopped. That travel radius, overlaid on the Tucson map, creates a prioritized geographic zone for the signal sniffer operation. The Walmart stores in that geographic zone become part of the triangulation. If the parking lot footage from the purchase location shows a vehicle heading in a specific direction when it departed, that directional information further narrows the signal sniffer search area. The purchase transaction, the departure direction, the travel radius from the pacemaker data, and the signal sniffer operation are all connected threads in the same investigative fabric, each one constraining the others, each one narrowing the geographic and evidentiary space where the answer lives. He thought the cash made him invisible. He thought the darkness and the mask and the gloves made him invisible at the scene. He did not know about the parking lot cameras. He did not know about the pacemaker accelerometer data. He did not know about the signal sniffer. He did not know about the forensic genealogy pathway that is being built specifically because of this case. With 50 million profiles in consumer databases waiting to be searched the moment a viable genetic profile can be extracted from the complex mixture at the scene. Every assumption he made about what would protect him from identification has a corresponding investigative capability that directly addresses it, and the Walmart parking lot camera is the most concrete, most immediate, most operationally specific of all of them. The evidence is there, the database is searchable, the footage exists, investigators are reviewing it. He paid cash. He forgot about the parking lot cameras. That was his only mistake, and it is enough. The investigation is active. The records exist. The parking lot footage is in the archive. The DNA is in the database. The tips are being cross-referenced. The signal sniffer is still flying. 16 days of evidence built on one retail decision, one shopping trip, one moment when a person who planned everything carefully walked into the most documented retail environment in American commerce and forgot that the parking lot camera was already watching before he even reached the door. Walmart was recording. Walmart remembers, and investigators are following every frame of what it recorded.